Today we're going to talk about solving multi-step equations. You've already taken notes on this topic in your notebook, so make sure you have that ready to look at. Also have a sheet of paper and something to write with. You want to be doing these problems with me as we go through this video. Let's review steps to solving equations. The first step is to simplify each side of the equation by distributing or combining like terms. Remember, you can only combine if they are on the same side of the equal sign. Step 2 is to move the variables to one side of the equation using inverse operations. Step 3, isolate the variable by using inverse operations. The goal is to get the variable by itself. Again, please make sure you have something to write with and a sheet of paper. I'll wait. Two times the quantity of 4x subtract 3 equals 18 plus 2x. The first step is to simplify each side of the equal sign. If we look at the left side of the equal sign, we have 2 multiplying by the quantity of 4x subtracting 3. We're going to use our distributive property to distribute that 2 to the numbers inside of the parentheses. We're going to multiply 2 times 4x. 2 times 4 is 8, so we get 8x. 2 times a negative 3 is negative 6. So we'll write it down as subtracting 6. We'll bring down 18 plus 2x. Now this looks like variables on both sides. We want to move the variable that has the smaller number. When we compare 8x and 2x, 2x is the smaller variable. We'll do the opposite of adding 2x, which means we'll subtract 2x from both sides. Positive 2x and negative 2x, or adding 2x and subtracting 2x, will cancel. 8x subtract 2x equals 6x, and we'll bring down the rest of the equation. 6x subtract 6 equals 18. If I cover up the variable for a moment, it's easy to see we have to get rid of subtracting 6. We'll get rid of subtracting 6 by doing the opposite, adding 6. What you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. Positive 6 and negative 6, or adding 6 and subtracting 6, will cancel. We'll bring down 6x, and 18 plus 6 equals 24. The last step is to isolate the variable. We have to undo multiplying by 6. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing. 6 divided by 6 will cancel out to be 1. 24 divided by 6 equals 4. Our final answer is x equals 4. Let's look at another example. Negative 9 plus 7x equals 6x subtract 2 plus 2x. The left side of our equation is already simplified, so we'll bring that down, negative 9x plus 7x. But the right side of our equation we can simplify by combining like terms. If you notice, we have a 6x and a positive 2x that we can combine, or 6x plus 2x. When we combine those like terms, 6 plus 2x gives us 8x, and we'll bring down whatever is left over, subtracting 2. Now we want to get all the variables on the same side of the equation. We have a 7x and an 8x. 7x is the smaller of the two, so we're going to do the opposite of adding 7x, which is subtracting 7x. Remember, you always want to make sure you're subtracting your x values from x values. Positive 7x and negative 7x, or adding and subtracting 7x, are opposites and will cancel. We'll bring down our negative 9, and 8x subtract 7x equals 1x, and we'll bring down subtracting 2. Now we want to get our variable by itself. I'm going to cover up the 1x for a moment, and it's easy to see we have to get rid of subtracting 2. The opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2, so we'll add 2 to both sides of the equation. Subtracting 2 and adding 2 will cancel out. And if you type into your calculator negative 9 plus 2, you get negative 7. Negative 7 equals 1x. You can divide both sides by 1 if you like, but anything divided by 1 is itself. So our final answer is x equals negative 7. Let's look at one last example that has a little bit of everything. 6x subtract 14 subtract x equals 2 times the quantity of 4x plus 2. We're going to focus on the left side of the equation first. We have a 6x and a negative x, or subtracting 1x, that we have to combine. 6x subtract 1x equals 5x, and we'll bring down our negative 14. Now we can focus on the right side of the equation. We have to distribute 2 to everything inside of the parentheses. We have to multiply 2 times 4x. 2 times 4x is 8x. And then we'll multiply 2 times a positive 2, which equals positive 4, or plus 4. Now we want to get all of the variables on the same side of the equation. 5x subtract 14 equals 8x plus 4. 5x compared to 8x is smaller, so we have to do the opposite of positive 5x, which is negative, or subtracting. Positive 5x and negative 5x cancel, and we'll subtract 5x from 8x. We'll bring down negative 14. 8x subtract 5x equals 3x, and then we'll bring down plus 4. Now this looks like a two-step equation. If I cover up the variable for a moment, hopefully it's easy to see we have to get rid of adding 4. The opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And again, positive and negative 4 adding or subtracting 4 cancel. And we have a negative 14 subtract 4. Be careful when you type that into your calculator. Negative 14 subtract 4 equals negative 18. We have negative 18 equals 3x. Our final step is to isolate the variable. We want to undo multiplying by 3. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing. So we'll divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 will cancel to 1. Negative 18 divided by 3 equals negative 6. X equals negative 6. Now it's your turn to practice. Go to Teams and complete the 2.3 practice and forms. Remember, we've taken notes in our notebook, so if you need extra examples to look over, grab that notebook and find this lesson.